Hey friends, happy Sunday and happy New Year, and welcome back to another week of What's for Dinner. If you're new here, hello and welcome. I am Taylor. I'm a stay-at-home wife and mom, and I share these What's for Dinner videos pretty much every single Sunday, and I've been doing it for almost 5 years now. I think that's right. I always lose track of time. But I have a whole playlist down below with hundreds of videos, like over 100, probably like over 200 now, because I do this every week. So if you like these kinds of videos, I hope you will subscribe down below. I don't have a lot of new ideas this week because it was the week of Christmas and I just kind of kept things easy / we had Christmas dinner and ate a bunch of leftovers. But I do have a really good recipe and it's the last one, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But let's go ahead and get into this week's What's for Dinner. On Friday night, we did ham and cheese sliders. I had some ham in the freezer that I wanted to use. It was leftover from Thanksgiving, and I knew we were going to have leftover ham from Christmas, so I kind of want to use up what we had in there from Thanksgiving because I knew we'd be putting more in the freezer. So kind of out with the old and in with the new. So I always like to use these brioche slider rolls from Aldi. They're not actually for sliders, so you do have to cut them yourself. But they're really good, these little brioche rolls. So I cut them in half horizontally, turned them into little slider buns, and then topped them with the leftover ham and then some cheddar cheese. And then I put the tops back on. And then I like to mix together a little butter mixture. It's butter, Dijon mustard, and some Worcestershire sauce. I don't measure. I just do a little bit of all of it. It's about a tablespoon of butter and then just a little bit of each of the other ingredients. Mix that together and then brush that over the tops of the sliders. And then I cover this with foil, and then this bakes in the oven on 350 for a total of 30 minutes, but for the last 5 minutes I remove the foil. To go with our sliders, we almost always do salad or fresh veggies for Lily, who doesn't like salad, so that is what we had this night. Okay, so Saturday night was Christmas Eve, and I actually don't have a picture of that. We were at Andy's grandmother's house where we do Christmas Eve dinner, which is snacky food. I took a cheese ball and some pasta salad, and then we do presents with them. So I don't have a picture of that. And then Christmas dinner was at my house and my brother fried a turkey. It was basically the same as our Thanksgiving dinner, except I did not make broccoli casserole. So we've got stuffing and gravy and mashed potatoes and turkey and ham and cranberry sauce and deviled eggs and mac and cheese and carrots, and then there was green bean casserole, but that's not on these plates because me and the kids do not like green bean casserole. And then Monday night we had the same thing, leftovers. We had a ton of leftovers, so we all had that. Tuesday night, the plan was to pretty much finish up a lot of the leftovers. So we had some leftover mashed potatoes, leftover stuffing, leftover turkey, and leftover gravy that we're going to use for this meal. I cut up about 2 cups of the turkey, and then the rest of that I put in the freezer. And I'm bringing some salted water to a boil to cook up some egg noodles, and then I'm also going to make some more gravy. I got 2 packets of turkey gravy because I'm going to need a little bit more than what was left over. So in a skillet, I'm going ahead and heating up the turkey. I put that in there. There's some skin and stuff in there, so I let that heat up on its own first, kind of get that skin a little bit crispy again. And then once that has gotten nice and hot, then I also add in the leftover gravy to that. And then I'm just working on my noodles, get my egg noodles boiled and making up that other package of gravy. And then when that other package of gravy is done, I will stir that in with the other gravy that is already with the turkey. Once I had all that gravy mixed in, I tasted it to see if I wanted to add any other seasoning, and I decided to add in some pepper. And then once everything was hot and my noodles were done, this was ready to serve. So I mentioned that I had leftover mashed potatoes and leftover stuffing too, so people could decide if they wanted to eat the turkey and gravy over the egg noodles or over mashed potatoes or over the stuffing. And then we also had some carrots that I warmed up so we could have on the side. And then my sister and Andy like green bean casserole, so I warmed that up for them to have on the side as well. So here's my plate. I did the turkey and gravy on top of stuffing, and then the kids each chose some egg noodles. Nobody ended up choosing the mashed potatoes, so I just saved those for lunch the next day, and we ate the turkey gravy over the mashed potatoes for lunch the next day. But yeah, Andy said this is like his favorite way to eat leftover turkey and gravy. He loves the turkey gravy over egg noodles. Wednesday night we did nachos, super easy and something that my family loves. So I just cooked up some ground beef with some taco seasoning, and then I had my nacho cheese that I had pulled out of the freezer earlier in the day. This is the Rico's nacho cheese. I buy it in the giant thing at Sam's Club and freeze it in quart-sized bags, flat in the freezer, and it thaws out perfectly. And then we had a bunch of different toppings: lettuce, taco sauce, sour cream, some pico. The kids like theirs really simple. Elijah just likes the meat and cheese and lettuce and taco sauce. Lily did some sour cream. I did a little bit of everything, and so did Andy. And finally, the last meal of the week is crock-pot ham and potato soup. I have never made a potato soup. I have only tried a potato soup that was in a can, and I absolutely hated it. And so I've always been afraid to try a homemade potato soup recipe because I'm just like, I'm not going to like it. Even though I love potatoes, I'm like, I'm just not going to like it. I finally did it. We tried ham and potato soup, and it was delicious. So to my crock pot, I am adding 3.5 cups of potatoes that I have peeled and diced. A cup of celery. I had this in my freezer already, so that made it really easy, less stuff to cut up. And then I'm doing 1 cup of ham. This was leftover ham from Christmas. And then I'm doing some Knorr chicken bouillon instead of chicken bouillon cubes, but it's enough to equal 6 chicken bouillon cubes. And then I did some pepper and 3.25 cups of water. And then the recipe called for a cup of onion, finely chopped, but I did not feel like cutting up onion. So I left out the onion and just did some onion salt instead. I mixed that all together and then put the lid on my crock pot and let that cook on low for about 7 hours. So after the 7 hours, I made sure my potatoes were tender, and then on the stovetop, I'm going to melt 5 tablespoons of butter, and then I'm going to whisk in 5 tablespoons of flour and just cook that for like 30 seconds to a minute. And then I'm going to add in 2 cups of milk. And I'm going to slowly add in that milk, stirring it constantly over a medium heat until it gets nice and thick. And then once it gets nice and thick, I'm going to stir that into the crock pot. And then I just let the crock pot sit with the lid on, still on, for like 15 to 20 minutes. And this turned out great. I know some potato soups call for like mashing the potatoes, but I think why I really like this potato soup is because some potatoes can have that like grainy like texture, especially when they're mashed. Especially like a russet potato like these were. So I think not mashing the potatoes, cooking them just until they were soft enough to eat and not like completely fall apart is why we really enjoyed this potato soup. So we topped our potato soup with a little bit of cheddar cheese. I did some sour cream and chives on top of mine as well. And then we had some rolls on the side. And as I said, it was delicious. Everybody loved it, the kids and Andy, so that is a win. I will definitely make this again. I'm just so happy like that we all loved it, and now I know that we like potato soup. But that is going to be it for this week's What's for Dinner. If you made it here all the way to the end, make sure you leave me a smiley face emoji in the comments and let me know if you did anything for New Year's Eve. I have never been the type of person to go out on New Year's Eve. Not before I had kids and not now. I prefer to stay at home and just relax. And I always stay up till midnight, but you will not catch me out anywhere on New Year's Eve. So let me know what you did for New Year's Eve. And I hope y'all have a great week and a happy new year.